Hello friends, I'm Jeanice Mitchell, pelvic health physical therapist, and we are talking about prolapse testing positions today. So if you are someone that has been tested for prolapse, but your provider said, oh no, there's nothing there, you'll want to watch this. I'm a physical therapist, but I'm not your physical therapist, and this information does not replace evaluation by a qualified healthcare provider. And if you have any of these symptoms, make sure you get checked out. Prolapse testing can be really tricky because we have so many different things that may be affecting the prolapse. Think about gravity, think about the pelvic floor muscles, think about position. And so a lot of times you may have symptoms in the afternoon or evening, but you may not have symptoms in the morning. And so let's imagine if you got tested in the morning, would you have symptoms? Would the prolapse show as much? Maybe not. Then also positions. How often are you having that vaginal bulge or pelvic pressure or heaviness when you're lying down? Well, that's generally the position that we're tested in for prolapse, is in a lying down or a reclining position. And so that's why I just want to introduce this concept to you about getting tested in other positions. And so we're going to go over the 4 basic positions and the pros and cons. To reinforce this concept of gravity and its effect on the pelvic floor, here is a pretend pelvis. So a pelvis is kind of like a bowl. The bones are the outside, which is represented by this ring, and the floor are your muscles, your pelvic floor muscles, which is represented by this red stretchy fabric. And so we have a full bladder here that we're going to put on the pelvic floor. Now I'm in an anti-gravity position right now. So gravity is pushing down on the pelvic floor and the pelvic floor is supporting from below. And so you can see there's quite a bit of pressure there on the pelvic floor. Now what if I laid down flat? That pressure is dramatically relieved. And then what if I even tilted my body so my hips were above my heart? That actually puts the pelvic floor on slack and helps those organs to kind of reposition up. Position number 1 is lying down. So the provider is there, you're in a gravity neutral position, and they are testing you for prolapse here. This is a very, very standard position, and there's nothing wrong with this position. However, I would caution you that if you're having symptoms of prolapse, but it's not visible in this position, consider one of the other options that we're going to go over. Position 2 is semi-reclining. So a lot of times those tables aren't completely flat, they'll kind of recline. And so it's very similar to being tested on your back, but you're in a reclining position, which is a little bit of a tilt of the pelvis, but not a lot. So again, if you're negative in this position, try one of these other 2 positions that we'll go over. The 3rd position is standing. So basically, you're in a standing position and that provider is squatting. And it can be a little awkward, I totally get it. But having a mirror is helpful for the provider as well. And basically the provider generally will use a headlamp or something because it can be difficult to see. You're in an awkward position and it's kind of dark, you don't have good lighting, and so a headlamp that is projecting up into, let's turn it, into the perineum or the vulva can help visualize that entrance to the vaginal canal. And then when you bear down or do the cough or do the prolapse testing, then the provider can better visualize what's happening there and give you a grade of your prolapse. The 4th position is basically squatting. So you as the patient have like a step stool, and one foot will go up on a step stool, and that provider again is down underneath you, visualizing what's going on in the vulva and the vaginal opening. A mirror might be helpful, a headlamp might be helpful, but this position can really help to visualize if you're negative in other positions. So do you have to be tested in all 4 of these positions? Absolutely not. Is your provider a bad provider if they didn't test you in all 4 positions? Absolutely not. The message here is that if you're negative for prolapse in one of those gravity neutral positions or the slightly reclining position, but you're having symptoms of prolapse, the best scenario ideally would be to get tested in standing or get tested in squatting. So you as a patient can ask your provider, hey, will you check me in standing or will you check me in squatting and see if you see anything different? If your provider says no, I would encourage you to really think about switching providers, because most providers are going to want to help you find out what your symptoms are, what's causing the symptoms, and do you have pelvic organ prolapse? And a lot of times it may not be visible in those gravity neutral positions. So you really want a provider that's going to work with you and help you find solutions. I hope that you found this information helpful. If you like it, like, comment, share. Thank you so much for your support, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.